I want to briefly touch base with what occurred in Montreal last evening. For those of you who are unaware, there were protests for a festival that was to take place in Montreal that included the band Graveland. If you're unaware of who that is, they are a Polish black metal band that has some ties to NSBM, which is National Socialist Black Metal, mainly because of their main man Rob Darkin's political affiliations, which lean to that direction. This was something that was whistleblown by some militants earlier in the week that alerted the Montreal Gazette, I believe, Gazette or Examiner, that there were fascists or anti-Semitic individuals that were coming into town to perform this show that was going to be a part of this festival that was going to take place at the theater. And based around that, there was calls immediately for the show to be canceled. There was calls of outrage based off of the festival organizers even allowing this band to come into Montreal. They want Montreal to maintain itself as a safe place for all folks. They feel that this was going to be a potential bad thing for those of the Jewish denomination. They want everybody to feel as safe as possible, essentially. Here's the kicker. The kicker of this is that Graveland has had a long career. They've had a long career, and 2016 has been whenever their first shows have really occurred. Most of their career has been spent in the studio, not performing on stage. Their first shows occurred back in April, and this has been, I guess somewhat of a success for them, although this is certainly a drawback. The only thing that I saw whenever I examined any sort of footage from these shows that could potentially be seen as anti-Semitic is that on their suits, on their garb that they perform in, there are some, red little, I guess, armbands or whatever that could potentially be a symbol towards something or other, but it really just seemed more like perhaps the cuff color of choice, either that or just something that's there. They are kind of imposing looking gentlemen, they are white, but this is not something also that really has much in the way of an argument, considering if you examine the lyricism within Graveland's material, it's very distant from what Rob Darkin's political beliefs are all about. They're a little bit closer to the Viking metal ideology. They have a lot of semi-history that's in there. There is some philosophy. There is a little bit of this or that. But if you study the lyricism, you don't really get anything that is very direct and in your face that is basically calling for extermination or calling for anything of that variety toward one cause. It has a bit of a different allegory to it. The lyricism is not one that is really painted in the way. They're mostly labeled within the NSBM community, considering Rob Darkin's personal political affiliations. So this almost feels like some whistleblowers or some militants, as they have been claimed as, really doing a little bit of research, but not enough. They stopped short whenever they saw the political ideology of Rob Darkin and immediately wanted to pull the plug on this event. It's one that supposedly sparked some protest, and they really didn't examine the fact that the show probably could have gone on with relative ease and really with not a lot of problem. This is a very fierce community, don't get me wrong, but it is not one that is going to facilitate violence just because Graveland has come to town. At least that would be my hope. I've not heard of any sort of problems emerging from their initial first wave of dates, their first dates ever, including ones from Milan, Italy, which was really, really cool whenever I viewed that on YouTube. It looked like it was a really cool environment. But it didn't appear like there was anything that showcased these guys as trying to start some sort of rally. They're just a band that's decided to try out the live scene and give it a go. And it looks like they have unfortunately run into some roadblocks based around this. I want to know what you think about this. I want to know if you think that these the militants or the whistleblowers, whatever you want to call them, jumped the gun with this and potentially caused some harm here with really calling to arms over something that was probably going to end up being relatively innocent in the end? Or do you think that they had justification? Do you think that the whole safety idea is one that needs to extend also just to the political ideology of somebody who comes into town? Does that basically mean that if Miley Cyrus was a racist, she would no longer be allowed to perform in Montreal? Is that something that is it just relegated to one, do you think, or do you think that it would be handled with everybody? Or do you think that the draw of somebody like Miley Cyrus, even if she were racist, would outweigh the idea of Graveland simply because they are a smaller scale black metal band? Let me know in the comments below. My name is CoverkillerNation. I want to hear your thoughts on this, please, because I think they jumped the gun. I honestly think they jumped the gun. It was a stupid thing to do. I hope Graveland continues to tour. I hope that they have not been dissuaded by this experience, because they are a very talented group. If you have not gotten the opportunity to sample their work, leave the music and the man apart and scope out Graveland. I'll talk to you guys next time. Take care. Hey guys, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more news that occurred in 2016 and earlier, check out the CKN Reacts playlist to your left. On your right, you'll see the album reviews done here in 2016 as well. Definitely scope that out. You can also subscribe if you haven't already, and scope out the Patreon. I'm CoverkillerNation. I'll talk to you next time. Take care.